Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Kim with Creative Crafticality, and today I'm going to be starting on a new fall journal. I am using this napkin that I found at the Goodwill bins. That will be for my cover and items throughout the book. And then I gathered a couple other things. Obviously I have lots of other items that I need to pull together for this, but I do have these really cute books and a vellum leaf. So that I won't be doing much with this in this video. I also have I'll be featuring a website in today's video. I'll do more of an in-depth investigation, or, just show you at the end of this video some of the functions that it has on the website. It's very user-friendly, but it's called coloringbookai.com. They reached out to me and wanted me to do like a little, make something for what I'm working on, and also just show some of the features on the website. So that's what I'm going to do today. For my fall journal, I made this coloring book page, and that will just go into my journal. These two pages were actually ones where I typed in what I wanted and it came up with different options, and I just printed these two out. So this will go in my page. You can also color the items, and you'll see that later on. Also, I made a die cut sheet, and what I did with this die cut sheet and what I wanted to show you in this video as far as what I'm working on for my journal was that I printed it onto a dictionary page. And printing on a dictionary page is actually pretty simple. This dictionary page isn't the thinnest, but I've also printed on a super thin dictionary page. I wasn't sure if my printer would actually print it, or, I thought maybe it would have a hard time pulling it through the printer, but it actually does a pretty good job. What I did though, and I should have done on this, was cut this down first and then measured it and then centered it, change the size of my page in Microsoft Word. I did make my page in Microsoft Word this size. I measured this over here, so I didn't get this lined up quite right, but that's a pretty simple fix, and I think most of them are okay. There isn't a lot, of white space over here, so it's not a big deal. But what I'm going to do now is just cut these out. And I'll just show you a couple of them. I won't do all of these, and I'll show you all of them at the end after I've done them off camera. But I'm just going to be fussy cutting these out. And then using some of my inks and my distress tools and adding a bit of color to them. Now you may be able to use watercolor on this, but I'm not sure if my ink on my printer, if the water might like run, so I'm not going to try that this time. But if you had a laser printer, or if you got them copied at a copy shop or something, you might be able to use watercolor on it. And I thought about playing around with using them as a template and tracing like the lines onto some vellum or like tracing paper and made them that way. Then you could use, a watercolor, like a really dry watercolor brush, because vellum you wouldn't really take the color all that, it would just have to be a really dry brush. So there's my leaf, which is kind of cool on its own with the book page on it. But I thought I have this, let's see, should I do orange, or maybe I have a brown. This is Vintage Photo, the Ranger Distress Inks, Tim Holtz. And then I have a distress brush, or this is actually like, you can use it for stenciling or like this. I'll try and put links down below for everything that I'm using, as well as the link to the website, obviously. So that is, I love that. Very cool. Maybe I can add some little bit of orange to this. Oh yeah, that looks great. I love that. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, we'll do one more here and then I'll come back. Let's see, should I do the pumpkin? Okay. Trim a little bit more of this off here. And use the orange on here. Oh, I like this. Now, if you wanted to add some cardstock to the back of these, you could. Or, you know, you would have to use like a thin glue or a double-sided tape so you don't get the lumpy bumpy glue marks through, but I think that is awesome. These will be great to add to a page or to an altar tag. Add a little bit more on here. Just super simple. All right, I'll finish these off and come back and show you what I've done. All right, before we go on to the coloring book website, I just wanted to show you all of the little die cuts that I made. I think they turned out really cute, and I love how when you print them onto the vintage dictionary page, or you could print it on any dictionary page or book page, that it just makes them look that much more vintage. And then adding the distress ink, I had some moss green color box, so you can use whatever inks you have in your stash. But yeah, I just think they turned out so cute and they're going to look great in my journal. So now on to the website. All right, we're looking at the main page here at coloringbook.ai, and along the top there's some menus. It shows free coloring book pages, coloring page generator, coloring book generator, online coloring, and gallery. So if we look at the first little menu there, there's thousands of different coloring book pages that people have made. And yeah, there's lots. And if you click on one of them, this shows all the different Bluey, for example, pages that have been made. So those are all free that you can use to color. And then this is a convert a photo to a coloring book page. So I took my daughter's mother-in-law's dog here and made the one on the right there I made previously, and then this one I'm just kind of showing here what you do. There's all different options. So this is going to generate, now depending on your Wi-Fi connection, when I was making the photo into a coloring book page, it was taking closer to a minute. It does say a few seconds, but that just depends on the complexity of the picture and your Wi-Fi, of course. But you'll see here how it, you could take the background out or keep it or whatever. So it just makes really cute coloring book pages if you want to just personalize it with the photo. So this will come up here in a second. But if you can see on the left-hand side there, you can keep faces in the photo, remove the background. You can up the resolution on it. You can make different, like a batch of them. There's also down there, and those are the premium features. So here's the picture that I think that turned out really cute, and it's funny that it has the scale at the top there. So moving on, here is the text to color pages. So this is when you type in something that you want, and it has all those different options, the difficulty level, the dimension. So I'm going to make an adult coloring book, not size, and I'm going to type in make a page of fall die cuts that include fall leaves, pumpkins, squirrels, gourds, etc. Make them in a sketchy vintage art style. Now this, I didn't know how this was going to turn out, but we'll see here in a second. And those are the ones that I used on the book page embellishments. So now you have options to download. You can also rewrite the prompt there and save it out again, see what it comes up with. So now here we're on the AI coloring book generator. So you can either put an image in, which I did. I put in Jace again. And then I wrote out my storyline. You just need like a simple little, like a couple sentences, and then it comes up with a, you'll see here in a second, it comes up with a more elaborate storyline for the coloring book. So I'm writing that this is a story about the famous Malamute named Jace. He loves to chase squirrels and birds in his backyard. He also loves his pumpkin patch, which he has in his backyard. And his mom, Heather, helps him with that. So I put that in there. And his favorite animal is the Highland cow. So now you can pick different lengths of your coloring book. I'm going to stick with the 5 pages because that's the free version. And then you generate. This was the first time making this. So it generates a little character guy. So I picked that one. And then here's what it does. It comes up with the title, and then it comes up with a little outline of each page of the story, which is kind of cool. And then you hit start generating, or you could change things on the different pages. And there it comes up with the cover, and obviously this backyard is misspelled on there, so I need to go in and tweak some things. That's the AI for you. So I need to go in and change that. I need to mess around with a little bit, but it does save out as a PDF, and that's so cute. Except I need to mess around with the coloring of Jace, because he has the black on him as opposed to all white, but those pictures are super adorable. So anyway, that's the coloring book function on it. Now we'll go to, there's a name coloring page generator. So I put in, it's just to make a coloring page with a bunch of words, it's kind of, for an AI, it seems like a lot of times they get words misspelled. So you'll have to take that with a grain of salt. But you can go in and tell it like these words were misspelled or whatever and change it. But I'm just going to show you a quick little, page that I created. So everything is just super simple, that all the options that you can use. And of course the free option has limited, more limited options. So, and you can see all the orange highlighted items, those are premium. So the paid version as opposed to, and here it made fall pumperoons and mushrooms and leaves. So yeah, I was just playing around with that. I wouldn't use that for anything, but it is kind of cool to put your names on there, I guess. And then there's the batch generator, and then the online coloring. And this is pretty cool. You can pick up any of your coloring book pages, the ones that you make or the ones that are on the website, and just kind of go in and color. So now going up to the main home page of the website, and I'll just kind of scroll through all the different things that you can do. So yeah, it's a fun website. If you're a teacher or if you are a parent with kids, and in my case, if I need a specific coloring page for a junk journal, I can create that as well. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and go ahead and check out coloringbook.ai, and you can use my link down below. And yeah, hopefully my die cuts were an inspiration for you and that you'll be able to make some soon for your fall crafting. This is Kim with Creative Crafticality. Bye. God bless.